I've come looking for fruit on the tree, says the owner, and I haven't found any. Cut it down. Why should it cumber the ground? In other words, why should this tree be allowed to continue to waste my resources? Why should I spend time, energy, money only to watch wastefulness and idleness? This tree is a poor steward of resources. The ground that the tree is on could better be used for something else. Hello? We could use it for more profitable enterprises. If I had time, I'd preach that there's a season coming where God is going to declare an end to wastefulness. If I had time, I would say there's those of us who are systematically abusing God's resources and making light of God's long suffering and taking advantage of God's grace and disobeying God's law and refusing to perform God's will. There's a time, ladies and gentlemen, when that's going to come to an end. If time allowed me, I'd remind us that there is coming a day when every account is going to be settled and every sin is going to be addressed and every reckoning is going to take place, and we're going to have to account for the stewardship of our lives. But what you need to know is that the owner has come to the place where the unfruitfulness of the tree will no longer be tolerated. His assessment is accurate, his judgment is fair, his patience is recorded, his expenditures are thoroughly documented, his long suffering is well known. There can be no accusation of unfairness leveled against him. His words are clear: cut it down. At this point, it's the only right thing to do. Ladies and gentlemen, the owner is fed up, he's vexed, and he wants to cut the tree down. But it's just then that we hear the words of the caretaker. The vine dresser comes to speak now. While the owner was frustrated, the vine dresser remained silent, but now he can remain silent no longer. Sir, replies the vine dresser, leave it alone one more year. Give the tree one more opportunity. Continue to extend grace for one more season. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absent in the text. The text doesn't tell us this, but if you follow the stream of logic, we've got to conclude that the vine dresser is also aware of the unfruitfulness of the tree. He's been the one who's been taking care of it. He's the one who's been using the master's resources to further the planting of this tree. He's the one, ladies and gentlemen, who observed the tree flaunting its lack of productivity. He knows the hypocritical nature of the tree and that the tree would rather look good than be good. He's fully acquainted with the fact that the tree has certain idiosyncrasies and eccentricities. The vine dresser knows that the owner is within his rights to execute the tree, yet he intercedes on behalf of the tree. Oh, can I preach it like I feel it here? In other words, I see the vine dresser declaring, don't destroy the tree just yet. Don't close the curtains on this tree experiment. I believe that this tree is still salvageable. I still have hope for this tree. Something good can still come out of it. The tree is still profitable. I'll work the tree and I'm going to make something out of this tree. I know that the tree is wicked and unprofitable and poor and wretched, blind and naked. I know that the tree is wanton and brazen and reckless and ill-meaning and unfaithful. Listen, whenever I get to the one that applies to you, you can say ouch. And profligate and conniving. I know that the tree is disagreeable and despicable and disabled and discredited and discriminating and disfigured and disloyal and disobedient and disorderly. I'm talking about you now. And disorganized. I'm talking about me now. And diseased and dismissive and disengaged and discourteous and discordant and dishonest and dispirited, disqualified, disrespectful, disreputable. It's a destruction. It's worthy of destruction, but give it one more year. Give it one more chance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious conversation. Some of y'all are missing it. The conversation looks like it's between the vine dresser and the owner, but really this is a conversation between grace and justice. You see, one day in time, justice got fed up. Justice had allowed mercy to run its course. Justice sat idly by and watched grace work for some time, 7 years to be precise. But then it said, mercy, you've had your day and you've done your best. Your time is up. You patiently waited and waited and waited. You caressed and cajoled. You massaged and manipulated. You hailed and hovered over. You provided and protected. Yet nothing has happened. I watched as your advances have been rebuffed and your overtures have been refused and your invitations have been rejected. And now justice says it's my turn. It's time for me to act. It's time for the consequences of the law to be handed down. The wages of sin is death, and it's time to start handing out payment. Justice declared, uproot it, rip it up, cut it down. But just then, ladies and gentlemen, I heard a sweet sound. It was the voice of Jesus, and it made a sound called grace. I know that Greg Nelson is unworthy. I know that he's undeserving. I know that he's a mess, but give him one more year. Give him one more chance. Justice, ladies and gentlemen, demanded death, but Jesus declared, I've come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. When I think about the fig tree and the grace that it was extended, I'm forced to be grateful because the truth is that there are many who did not capitalize on grace. Ladies and gentlemen, grace looked up Cain one day, but his jealousy prevented him from responding and he murdered his brother. Grace looked up Lot's wife on her way out of Sodom, but she looked back and turned to salt. Grace called on Pharaoh, but his hard heart sunk him and his enemy in a tidal wave. Grace called on Nadab and Abihu, but they were too busy lighting themselves on fire. Grace looked up Hophni and Phinehas, but they rejected him and were killed by the Philistines. Grace called up Achan, but his sticky fingers caused a massacre at Ai and he lost his life. Grace called up Korah and Dothan, but their hard head caused the earth to open up and swallow them alive. Grace looked up Balaam, but he would not heed the counsel, and so his donkey turned into a prophet. Grace sought out Saul, but he was too busy talking to a witch. Grace tapped Jezebel on the shoulder, but her recalcitrance sent her flying from an upper balcony to her death.